check the levels.
All right.
Hip herp.
Mic check,
Hap.
mic check. Mic check, mic check.
Hip hap.
Mic check. Mic
All right.
check.
I see, I see her title. I see her name. I'm going in, guys. I'm going in.
Okay. Yeah. Gotta get rid of this gravel. It's unsightly and disgusting.
Yes, we do have a place to get rid of that.
Oh, yes. Yes, we do. Oh, it's deeper. Shit. I just
Uh,
broke my shovel.
We must go deeper.
All right, guys. We sound amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start this off. We have many things to talk about. Welcome to this podcast. I am Scorch. I've got Arcadia Zero in here playing Minecraft with me. And sometimes I can English correctly. And we also
Sometimes.
have Vast Empires, our resident list master. And starting off in the very beginning, we have a question for the ages, you guys, that I'd like to posit to you before we do anything else. Is cereal a soup?
Is cereal a soup?
Is it
Are we talking post or pre-milk? I
it-
mean, that's really the question here.
is it soup? Because, you know, you have the floaty bits and then you have the thing that suspends the floaty bits.
But this
Or
assumes you're one of those people that's normal that eats cereal with
Or-
milk.
or would you rather think of it as a salad?
Okay. Cereal is definitely not a salad.
I think I'll second that.
It could be a soup, but I think it has to do more with. There's another word that I'm coming with. No,
Gazpacho-y.
well, that's what I'm saying. Soup can be cold because it's gazpacho, but there's a incorporation or an emulsifying part of soup that I don't think cereal has unless you let it sit there and linger. And if you are someone who lets your cereal get soggy, get out of my house.
Yeah.
Well, you
Yeah,
could
that's-
think
that's
about it
terrible.
like, you could think about milk as a homogeneous suspension because if you heat it up, you're likely to split it, which means it's already emulsified.
But with soup, there's a flavor, a spread of flavor throughout the liquid that you don't have with cereal until the cereal sits there. So I would say after an hour, yes, it is soup.
Are you telling me that cereal is not better the next day?
I am telling you, get out of my house.
All right.
Yikes.
Okay. This is a gaming podcast, so we have gaming things to talk about. That was just a little bullshit thing that I wanted to bring up in the beginning. We gotta talk about Cyberpunk. We gotta talk about 343 Industries and what's going on there. There's also some Epic Games and Fortnite stuff that's going on, as well as the meteoric rise of Fall Guys.
I see what you did there.
It was very nice.
So, somebody pick our first topic. I'll open it to the floor.
Well, Fall Guys is pretty recent. We could hit that first.
All right. Fall Guys is a thing. You guys.
Fall Guys is a big thing right now.
Only because of the strange, counter, terrible reviews that it got. Only because the servers overloaded and people couldn't play, and for some reason that got them review bombed.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope there's more to it than that, but if that's it, that seems super stupid and petty.
No, that's exactly what happened to it in the first couple of days of Steam. People started playing it, and the servers could not handle the load, and then people immediately review bombed it because nobody could play it because the servers were overloaded.
That's like someone buying a new car, getting stuck in traffic, and then review bombing their car because they got stuck in traffic,
Yeah,
even though
that
there's
is
nothing wrong with the car.
that is exactly what happened. Why do you have a tiny llama next to you?
I don't know. I was making a pen for him.
Dude, pin that thing in. It's our new mascot.
Well, I just have to say that
Ah!
a
Oh
couple.
God!
There is a spider.
Sorry,
Okay.
Vast. We
Sorry, that
we
was
had
that
an
was
emergency.
random. Yeah.
As I was saying, a couple days ago, Devolver Digital actually put out some stats about Fall Guys, and they have 2 million copies sold on Steam
Woo!
alone.
Wow. My goodness.
23 million hours watched on Twitch,
Oh my.
and 1.5 million crowns grabbed. And all of that was on the 10th of
Wow.
August.
Jeez, dude.
1.5 million crowns have been grabbed.
And I think that was on the 10th, and Fall Guys was dropped on Steam and PlayStation 4 on the 4th.
Yeah,
Of
something
August?
like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That is a lot.
an impressive statistic for a small game. No wonder why their servers couldn't keep up.
Yeah. My goodness.
Oh man.
But I mean, I can see why though. It's a fun party game. The graphics look good,
Hmm.
and
For what they
what
are,
it is.
yeah.
for
They're
for
simple.
what it is. They're simple graphics. You can play with friends, and you can annoy the bejesus out of people by touching them
You
in a
absolutely
time when
can.
you can't touch anyone.
Just don't do it on rollout or anything like that because you're just as likely to fuck yourself as fuck the person that you're holding on to.
This is a true statement.
But the reason why we're actually bringing up Fall Guys right now isn't the fact that it's popular, isn't the fact that Scorch won twice in a row yesterday.
Hey,
My
hey!
goodness.
You should watch him stream this because he'll give you some tips and tricks.
I
No.
will not.
He will not. But no, seriously, it's so popular that the hacks have been released already.
Yes. I've even
Oh,
seen
People are
yeah.
cheating to win.
I have even seen footage of hackery taking place.
Oh, describe. What are they doing?
Well, I've only seen
I say the
one
speed hack one.
yeah, and it was a speed hack of somebody cranking up their speed and finishing nearly immediately, zipping past all of the players,
Whoa.
which is I don't know why
Lame.
you would do that. That's pointless. Why would you cheat at Fall Guys? There's like no reason to cheat at Fall Guys. It's Fall Guys, you guys.
Morally bankrupt. But here's the thing. I've also heard of people who are, I have not seen this, but I've read the articles and heard the anecdotes of people who are only marginally raising their speed. So they can only marginally win. And
Not
that's
make it super obvious.
and not make it super obvious. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's still cheating.
Mhm. Oh
It
yeah,
is
I
still
know.
cheating.
I know.
It is very much still cheating.
Ugh, gross. I don't know. Okay, I do kind of know. It's a game in which there's a competition. There's always going to be somebody looking for an edge, illegal or otherwise. But
But there's a social contract,
there is.
and you're breaking it.
Yeah?
But they care not
They,
for the wiles of social contracts, Vast.
exactly.
These are
Yes.
degenerates of human society.
Degenerates. That's not actually Latin. Oh,
Yet.
man.
Yeah, yet.
But if we continue to talk about Fall Guys right now, I'm just gonna have to bring up that I won 2 in a row yesterday, you guys.
2 in a row.
I
2 in a
got
row.
Still
2
can't
in
believe
a row, and I had slept like 4 hours that day. Can you believe that shit?
No, I cannot.
I honestly don't have anything left to say about Fall Guys other than don't cheat, you bastards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stop ruining the fun for everyone.
Oh, segue time.
Do it.
Speaking of ruining fun, something happened at 343.
Uh-oh.
They
Do tell.
have delayed Halo Infinite, which is a really, really
No.
big deal considering Halo
Yeah,
Infinite was supposed to be a launch title for the
supposed
Xbox
to be.
Series S.
It is a huge blow to, well, no matter how
Microsoft.
they're spinning it, it's a huge blow to Xbox's next gen launch.
It really is. It really is. And
Because before this, to me, well, I think that Sony's first party lineup is stronger than Xbox. I think Xbox's headline title of being Halo was stronger than Sony's being Spider-Man. And I love the Spider-Man game and I love Miles Morales. But I just think as a gaming brand, Halo still has the
The pinnacle.
lineage and
yeah,
the name recognition and the player base more than Spider-Man does.
Well,
Not
it's
as
at
a
the tippy
character,
top.
but just as a gaming franchise.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I am totally agreeing with you in that point. Now, I have a question around this, if you wouldn't mind, and it's not another stupid one like a cereal soup. Uh, do you think any of this has to do with the backlash that they received on their Xbox Game Showcase the other day after people saw their footage?
I hope so.
You think so?
I hope it was.
They get
Um,
showcase sacked. Ooh, okay, dial it back.
all right, the reason why I say that I hope it does because Scorch and I actually watched it together first, and after that I felt really I was asking him and like questioning him almost to the point where I'm sure he was like, "Lady, shut up," but I could not.
Would
I was
never say
looking at the
that to
game and
you.
I was like, "No, you wouldn't." He's a terrible person. Um, so I know, but seriously, I was watching it and I was thinking to myself,
Oh God!
am I the only person who thinks this looks poor? It's showing poorly. Like the graphics are clean and tight, but it just doesn't look as good as the Halo I remember. And granted, the Halo I remember is Halo 2,
Yeah,
but
Still a good one.
it is a good one.
still a good one.
Still
But I mean,
acclaimed.
in terms of like the detail and everything, and it just didn't feel right. And this is coming from someone who has no stake, like no stake in Xbox or Halo franchise at all. And so if I felt like if I was seeing that, then people who actually like care about the game saw that, and if this was what was going to launch, they would be really disappointed. And I don't want that for anybody.
Yeah,
Especially not Halo, one of the friggin', at this point I would say Godfather games of industry.
yeah. It made the Xbox.
Yeah. It also made, I would say, maybe in more prominence, the FPS genre.
Yeah, I mean, it brought it more into the center. I
Yeah.
think games
It
like
still existed
Doom.
before.
I think games
Yeah.
like Doom had more of an impact, putting them on the map. But um, another thing that I'm wondering about with all of this is uh, 343 Xbox announced a couple of things about Halo multiplayer that I'm wondering if that would tie into their whole graphics thing. I'm not entirely sure why they would push it over to single player unless they just want to make everything look even across the board. But they said that they had wanted Halo Infinite to run at a steady 4K 120 FPS at all times in multiplayer.
Holy crap.
And not only that, they said that you don't need to pay anything extra, any other support to play Halo multiplayer. It was going to be free. So I'm wondering if they downresed a few things just so that they could meet that benchmark.
Possible. And people caught it, and they went, ugh, and they had to knee-jerk take it back and then figure out how the heck to fix it.
Yeah, I mean it's a
I mean, I believe
possibility.
it.
there's no guarantee thinking that, that's exactly the thing unless you're, working on it and see the metrics. But
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that I thought that's an odd coincidence that they're trying to go for this benchmark and the graphic fidelity is not as high as people would expect it to be, especially when comparing it to Halo games that are now on the PC, like Halo 3 and Halo 2 Anniversary, which looks gorgeous, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not, it doesn't cut the mustard,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Probably in the right ballpark there.
I do want to real quick read their official announcement that was dropped earlier this week on the 11th. Um, Chris Lee, the studio head of Halo Infinite, said, "Today I want to share our important Halo Infinite development update with the community. We have made a difficult decision to shift our release to 2021 to ensure the team has adequate time to deliver a Halo game experience that meets our vision. The decision to shift our release is the result of multiple factors that have contributed to development challenges, including the ongoing COVID-related impacts affecting all of us this year. I want to acknowledge the hard work of our team at 343 Industries who have remained committed to making a great game and finding solutions to difficult challenges. However, it is not sustainable for the well-being of our team or the overall success of the game to ship it this holiday. We know this will be disappointing to many of you, and we will share it, and we share in that sentiment. The passion and support the community has shown over the years has been incredible and inspiring. We wanted nothing more than to play our game with the community this holiday. The extra time will let us finish the critical work necessary to deliver the most ambitious Halo game ever at the quality we know our fans expect. Thank you for your support and understanding."
Okay.
Do you think they actually managed to avoid the video game crunch
They did not.
and are actually trying to not perpetuate that thing through industry?
I think they're
Uh,
uncrunching themselves with this
that
move.
I have evidence, well, I can't really say evidence, it's anecdotal, of other people in the industry that beg to differ. Um, when this information broke, a few people mentioned this on their Twitter feeds. I only pay attention to a couple of people on Twitter. One of them is Alana Pierce, and I pay more attention to her YouTube channel. But the person that I pay most attention to regarding video games on Twitter is Jason Schreier, and he has quite a heavy hand when it comes to video games and video game news. He knows a lot of inside stuff. He's the guy to go to if you want information. And one of the things that he mentioned is it must be very, very bad at 343 for them to push a game off of launch day
Really?
for the Xbox One S or the Xbox Series S, whatever the fuck they're calling it. But a
So
lot
basically, someone probably was on the verge of death and like, okay, guys, we have to dial back.
a lot of people from the industry, people that have industry knowledge, people that work in the industry, were saying in the ensuing conversation in the thread that when you push back a title, it's never in order, there's never a relief that it's pushed back. The ongoing sentiment from the managerial staff is okay, guys, we have more time to put in those things that we all wanted in. We have to continue the momentum that we have in order to finish.
Been there
So,
before.
so I don't think that they've uncrunched themselves. I think they've just perpetuated the crunch so that they can jam it more with stuff. They're squeezing more jelly in the donut, to use a metaphor.
That's a good metaphor. I like that metaphor.
Thank you, thank you.
More.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and it worries me because I'm thinking clearly this game looked and was playing better than, say, Anthem.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking about the state that Anthem released in, as like the worst case scenario, where clearly there are systems in place that had nothing in them,
Yeah.
you know? And so I'm wondering like where on the shipwreck ladder Halo could have been at for this. Because this isn't gosh, I don't even remember which studio produced the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but this isn't them delaying it so they can redo the Sonic, just, which is terribly, like, time consuming, but to redo the character model in the film,
Yeah.
or update the character model in the film, which is what I initially thought this could have been, because, again, it just didn't look as good.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, now I'm like, where was it as broken as it could have been? I don't know.
For Anthem?
Was
Or
Halo as broken as it
Halo?
could have been? Yeah, Halo. On a scale of like, it's launchable to Anthem. Like where was it actually falling?
It's a painful scale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On a scale from Anthem to God of War, how polished was it? Cause
And I say that
say what you
with
will. Go ahead. Go.
Oh no.
Continue
Oh
with your thought,
no.
Vast, because I wasn't gonna go anywhere with mine. It was just a sidestep.
well, no, I just know that sounded cruel, but or really really hard constructive criticism. But I just understand that I know the feeling of putting your best work together, and then because of management issues or things that are beyond your control, the final release was not near the quality that you put into what you did
Mm-hmm.
as a whole. The whole was not as good as what you did. However, I have also not experienced like a million people yelling into the void about how much it sucked. So I can only imagine, what that feels like.
Yeah.
And I keep on bringing up Anthem because I want them to have a comeback story like that game that I don't know deserved it did.
That you
Which one
don't
is that?
know that deserved it.
No Man's Sky?
No Man's Sky, that's it.
I thought you were going to go Final Fantasy 14.
Oh gosh, no, Final Fantasy 14 like totally earned their, but they did it right. Like they completely took everything apart and they just did everything that they needed to do to turn that game around, based on player feedback, based on testing, based on everything, and it's thriving right now. So I kind of want Anthem to have a turnaround story like Final Fantasy 14. The bones were there, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Concern.
Well,
Yeah, squash.
let's turn to something. Well, actually, let's stay on delays really quick and talk about Baldur's Gate 3 delay,
Okay.
because it is delayed.
Yeah, it has been delayed. Did they give it a delay time? They were planning on releasing at least the early access this month, and they decided not to. I know that much.
I thought it was pushed early to next year.
Okay. I already
No
knew
exact month or anything, just early of the next year.
early next year. Okay, so like Q1-ish.
I mean, maybe. Again,
Okay.
they by not giving a month, they leave it open to keep perpetually pushing it if they need to.
Yeah.
Yep. And I do want to say, like in the case of Halo 2 and with Baldur's Gate, I'm sure that they did like lose anywhere from like 2 to 3 months with COVID. Like I'm sure that they did.
Yeah.
Everyone probably has at some point.
I'm imagining at max, like the amount of productivity that you can get during all of this business is anywhere between like 60 and 75% of what you can get at any
Well, it
other
depends on your
time.
industry, but yeah, for that one, it's probably about right.
Yeah.
On the flip side, the dark secret of working from home is that you never know when to stop.
Yep.
It's true.
So some
Therefore,
people are
some
more
people work a
productive.
lot more.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Which elevates the
So
risk of burnout and crunch.
yes,
Indeed.
yes. So it's a huge balance there. It's not for everyone, but I still champion it. But yeah, I really do think that they could. I mean, because it's not just working from home. It's working from home in a pandemic, and so there's a lot of other stuff that's attached to that. It's a lot of baggage. So
Yeah.
um, it's disappointing because the game looks so good, but hopefully it'll turn out the way that they want it to. Um,
Yeah.
so are you guys interested in playing Baldur's Gate?
I was going to buy it in early access. I was going to buy it day one as soon as it was playable.
I did not know this. Are you a Baldur's Gate fan?
No, but I'm a Larian fan.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah. Um, just the way that they spoke about it and the way that they were staying true to like very heavy RPG D&D roots had me intrigued immediately. And I never played Baldur's Gate. It was just a tiny bit before my actual entrance into video games. And when I did enter, I was less interested in like heavy storytelling and RPGs. It was more like, oh, I'm gonna shoot that guy.
Yeah.
So,
CAD.
yeah. So, like that lineage is kind of wasted on me at this point. And I don't think I have the bandwidth right now to go back and play one. Plus, I don't want my eyes to bleed. So,
Yeah.
not really going back for that. But yeah, I'm very interested in the game, and I was gonna play it immediately as soon as I could.
So so they're not doing early access anymore? Are they still doing their panel?
I don't know.
Oh,
The
well,
last I heard was that they delayed it, and they were planning on doing early access, but I haven't heard anything after that.
okay. Well, the last that I looked at their Twitter feed, which is right now, they still have the pin of their panel from hell, which will be Larian Studios' part of the Summer of Games, and it's going to be on the 18th. So maybe we can check it out
Oh,
and
okay.
see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that.
All right. You guys want to move to something lighter?
Well, real quickly, I would want to ask you guys, are y'all interested in Baldur's Gate?
Not really, since I never played the others, and that's symptomatically only because I never really played the others, and I think that has a lot of history behind it that I would just simply not appreciate.
That
Is it multiplayer?
it's co-op. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah,
Oh.
Oh, well, then
absolutely
that's
is.
different.
I'm gonna have to warn you guys, it's heavy, heavy RPG stuff. Like if you don't like looking at stat blocks and taking a look at like gear and selecting spells and making sure that you have the like right setup for the encounter and
The only reason
whether or
I've
not
never
you
liked those
slept or
game
anything
types
like
is because I
that.
get so effing sucked in I can't get out. So it's not a
Yeah,
matter of that I don't like it, it's I don't like how much it sucks me in.
that's fair.
Yeah. It's terminal.
But if you have
I'll
no
have to,
problem with any of that, be my guest. Come play with me.
I'll have to check out the gameplay, but I love RPGs. So
Yeah.
speaking of RPGs,
Ooh,
we had another Night City Wire,
we did.
and I feel like we should go ahead and talk about it because it was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Do it.
Arcadius, you want to take it?
Um, they talked about various different sections. They had an intro section that talked about some music that they were adding into it, and I think it was like samurai rock theme was like what they were trying to showcase or something like that. That was kind of a yawn fest to me. They introduced a little bit more into one of the specific branches. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was though. Really just kind of talking about all of them, but some of the questions referred to, if you start as a nomad out in the Badlands, can you ever go to the Badlands as one of your other starting types? And the answer is absolutely. The world is essentially one giant play box. You just might not go there immediately based on certain story scenarios or, entrance gates with regards to things that you earn and people that you talk to and become friends with. Which is somewhat reassuring to basically, mean that they have one cohesive world that is only deterministic on where you start on who you want to kind of, start with. But you will be able to eventually branch out and go wherever the heck you want. At some point in the game. They didn't really allude to when, just at some point. Then the other subsection they had, just to hit the other topics, was gunplay and some of the various things that you could experience in terms of what you can earn and the kinds of weapons you can use and how some of that stuff is constructed and how it's upgraded and so on and so forth. And then I want to say there was another section. That might have been it.
Well, they talked about like the 3 archetypes, and then they talked about the music, and then they talked about the guns. I think
Okay,
those
so
were
it
the
was
big
just the
3 that they started with. And to clarify a little bit, they profiled the band Refused, that they chose to play the video game band Samurai, which is Johnny Silverhand's band.
Okay.
And
So a name that's been heard before.
If you're linking all of these things together, Johnny Silverhand is Keanu Reeves' character in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So
Indeed.
they are making the music for Keanu Reeves.
I have 2 things. One, I wonder who reached out to the band. I'm like, was it someone in the studio who really liked them and wanted to reach out? Did Keanu Reeves say, I really like this band, maybe you should check him out?
Which was basically automatically like saying, hey, go get these guys right now.
I want them to do my music. I played with them once on tour,
Mm-hmm.
which wouldn't surprise me if he did. I'm just making up stories about Keanu Reeves right now, but he seems
Keanu
like that
fanfic.
kind of dude.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's out there, I'm sure.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I really
absolutely.
like these guys. We gotta get them right now.
And then how often?
Jesus has spoken.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how awesome is it that he's in a film again where he's playing a rock star, or a failed rock star in the latest Bill and Ted's film, and he's also has a band, in this game. Basically, he's being immortalized as a rock star. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty cool.
Twice over.
Pretty cool. Although
Keanu is what Keanu is.
I think the cultural impact of this game is going to be a little bit larger than the Bill and Ted movie. Speaking as a gamer that isn't necessarily interested in film.
Okay, I would say it may be equal to, but I clearly I was a baby when that film came out.
Mm-hmm.
But no. Because it's spawned a poorly received sequel, but also a cartoon. I feel like it had cereal, and they brought it back for a 3rd film. I think that Cyberpunk will have a sequel-ish, maybe. It certainly has a comic book tie-in, which I've purchased.
Ooh.
If anyone out there is thinking about it, Dark Horse Comics has a tie-in. Hold on, let me get the name for it real quick.
Oh, God, that's not good. There's a sprinting little mini zombie running after me.
Okay. So this article is from IGN. Dark Horse is expanding the world of Cyberpunk 2077 through the upcoming Trauma Team comic book series. This bundle includes a copy of Cyberpunk 2077 Trauma Team 1 with an exclusive variant cover drawn by the artist Robert Samelin, apologies, as well as 11 by 14 lithograph print of the cover art.
Cool.
And it looks kind of cool. And I'm like at that point where I'm kind of into comics again. I'm taking a manga break. So I'm drifting towards comics again. And so I was like, why not pick up the first one? It might be cool.
So have you read it yet? What do you think?
It hasn't. I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay.
But Trauma Teen spins the story of Nadia, a citizen of Night City, and the sole survivor of a gone wrong Trauma Team international rescue mission. When she agrees to continue working for the corporation and takes on the upcoming extraction mission, Nadia and her team soon find themselves in an even more dangerous and life-threatening situation and discover Trauma Team is not what it seems to.
Seems cool. Seems cool.
But anything to expand on the world. You know I love world building, so.
Dare I say lore?
No!
Oh!
I hate lore!
Bast is a lore diver!
No, I'm not!
Yes, you
Don't you-
are!
Don't you dare apply. This is why I hate labels. Don't label me.
Oh my
No, but it
goodness.
seems cool, and I am glad to see isn't there a cartoon, an animated series coming for Cyberpunk 2 on Netflix?
I believe so, but it's not slated to happen for a while.
Hmm.
Truth.
And I'm definitely
So-
going to be watching that. And I'm
So
gonna be
after
playing it.
watching, yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I wonder if it's going to be anything like the Animatrix. Do you guys remember that?
Ooh, yes. That was
Just
good.
barely. Just
I
barely.
really liked the Animatrix.
There are some really cool shorts in there,
Yes.
and I like the anthology style of it. I mean, I want its own series, like a full narrative like story. But I wouldn't be mad if it were an anthology and you got to see like different animation and different stories in Night City. That would be cool too.
Yeah, I would. Honestly, I'll take whatever they're going to be putting out at this point. What with hype being the way it is. After the game comes out and I actually play it and form my own opinions of it, and after the hypiness of it dissipates a little bit, and that opinion may change, but right now it's all the rage, so why not capitalize on it?
So let me ask you guys this, and it's something we've kind of talked about back and forth. But the Night City Wire started out with highlighting all 3 life paths that you can choose in Cyberpunk 2077. So it's the Street Kid, which most of the gameplay that we've seen and most of the stuff that they've shown,
The Street Kid, yeah.
it's Street Kid. So we have a pretty good understanding of like basically where you start in the lower like register of the city, lower register. I don't know.
I
what I'm trying to
believe
say
as a street kid you start in the neighborhood called Haywood,
there. Okay.
and they've
So you-
profiled Haywood a little bit.
So you start there. Then they gave us like some cinematics on starting as a nomad, which is outside of Nightwire City, traveling caravan people, racers, and hijackers,
Smugglers.
smugglers. And then they showed the Corpo.
Mhm.
So, which is the corporate officer. You start on you're basically a yuppie.
Pretty much.
You're pretty much who your dad probably got you your job, and you're like lower upper middle management.
I only eat free-range vegan chicken, thank you.
Oh, God.
So the question is, after watching the new breakdown and having more information, where do you guys think you want to start in Cyberpunk? Corpo, Street Kid, or Nomad?
I would still want to start at Corpo because I think there is a certain elemental twist of essentially. I basically want to see what kind of strings they pull across the city that you will never otherwise see as any of the other types.
Well, the
Because
same.
government is government, and I mean, obviously you have the underworld and black market stuff that the corpos won't know and all that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of more curious to see how that is laid out in secret.
So after you watched all that, you're still going with Corpo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What about you, Scorch? Where did you start, and where are you landing right now?
So up until this Night City Wire, I was firmly in Corpo world. I was 100% gonna be my first run was gonna be Corpo. I was gonna see where it went. I was most interested in being essentially like a black tie pistol arrowed kind of operator. Um, After this one, where they showed a little bit more, I'm not so sure. I'm now more in a fuzzy gray area in between all three of them uh, than before. I'm not sure which way to jump right now.
Hmm.
I can tell you which one I'll pick last is Nomad.
Well, Vast wanted to play Nomad, right?
So here's the thing. I actually, when all of this started, I leaned more towards Street Kid because that's a narrative and a story that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wrong side of the tracks kid comes up, does good, or makes good and walks upon the blood of his enemies. That kind of thing. I like that story. But because Street Kid is the major the major view that we're getting these sneak peeks into the game through the dev diaries and through like the trailers and stuff like that. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of twists and turns of it. Like the actual beginning is, you know, it's pretty
You
much
think it's
spoiled
been?
to me.
I was about to say you think it's kind of spoiled.
Yeah, at least like your first, what 1 or 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of the game. Like I feel like I already know, or I can make um,
Well, yeah.
pretty informed guesses about what's going to happen. And so that doesn't interest me that much. So I started to lean a little bit towards Nomad because, we don't know nothing about them.
That's
Um,
true.
and then and then watching the cinematics for that, I kind of got that homey feel good Fast and Furious meets Country Roads Take Me Home vibe, and I was like, oh, that's actually a kind of interesting story
Yeah,
beat,
the
and
way
I
they
want to see
had
that.
it, the way they had it was very kind of family Mad Max.
Yeah, it really was, and I haven't seen that before, and I want to see it.
Yeah. That is the reason why I was pulled back into the center, was because of that feeling right there. And the only thing that's stopping me from saying, that's it, I'm being nomad, is the dust.
Yeah, you feel about the dust the way
So
I feel
much
about the snow.
depth.
Well, in video games, it's essentially the same thing in a different color.
Yeah, basically.
Um, I I've played a lot of games where you drive a car through dusty environments. Um, like there was the Mad
Borderlands.
Max game where that was literally all there was. The first Rage game was like that. Borderlands is like that.
Borderlands.
Even though those games have a completely different feel and are going for a different aesthetic,
Yeah.
those elements bleed into my paradigm of how the Nomad is at least going to start playing. And from what I have gleaned, it seems like the way the way it starts, the way the game starts, is you pick your background, and then you have a Street Kid intro, which is like 3 hours of gameplay that only a Street Kid can do. And if you pick Nomad, you have like a 3 hour Nomad intro that only a Nomad can do. And the same for a Corpo. So it sets up the world in that
I'm cool with
scope,
that.
which seems pretty cool to me.
More of that, please.
Mm. So yeah, I'm getting more and more excited about playing the game. I know they're not going to have it. I wish they had a third person mode. I think that would make me enjoy it more, but I understand there's a huge split between third person and first person. Um, some people are take it or leave it. Some people are just like whatever. But
Hmm.
right now, that's my only like, you know, I'm going to. That's my like nitpicky thing that I know about myself that I can direct towards this game.
Yeah. A whole bunch of people did bring up early on, what's the point of this really deep character creation if it's just first person and you never see yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Except in mirrors and reflective objects.
yeah, like what's the point of, oh God, I almost died from gravel.
Maybe just so you know what you look like, and then maybe as somebody comments on how you look in the game, you're like, oh, I do look like that.
That is me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, he commented on my created piece. And it gives you a little more individuality, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And to what I say to those people is, why in real life do you have a wardrobe? Why don't you just wear a sack all the time?
Oh, the old sackcloth.
Yeah. Old potato sack real does it for me. I can't see myself.
I see myself right now. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And it's going to be the same for the game.
No, it's not.
Oh.
So, oh, what about the weapons? I know we mentioned them, but there are three different weapon types that they
Yeah.
talked about. So, oh, what were their names again?
So
I know there was like
they had
kinetic,
tech weapons.
kinetic
They had
weapons.
power weapons. They
Hmm.
had melee weapons, and they had cyberware that they
Mm-hmm.
showed
The
off.
mods.
The
Yep.
mods.
The body mods.
Hmm. So they only profiled like one thing from each category, though they showed a little bit of gameplay from a lot more shooty boom booms. But what they showed from power weapons was this really cheap all steel manufactured shotgun that was like way super duper strong and could essentially cut people in half with a blast.
Some might say overpowered.
Yeah, I think that might be the name of the game in
It
this.
looked like 8 gauge. All I can say is that shotgun shell was bananas big.
It really was.
Like he was like loading it in. I was like, wait a minute, that looks like a grenade from a grenade launcher. Like, but no, that's a shotgun shell. And
Yeah.
some shotgun shells shoot multiple projectiles. Some shotguns have trackable multiple projectiles.
If you choose a shotgun in the smart weapons category, yes.
In the smart weapons category. Or then you also had what's some other ones here? Yeah, the
You had
kinetic
the
stuff just
tech
energized
stuff.
everything.
You had
Yeah.
the tech stuff that uses electromagnetism to propel your shots. You've essentially made a railgun out of anything. And one of the things that they said the tech weapons could do was shoot through cover.
Yes, they're the only weapon I think that shoots directly through cover. Now, obviously, that's probably like really when I think of shoot through cover, like guardrails will no longer block your shots. Like that's my version of thinking that it'll blow through cover,
Yeah.
but
Fingers
it'll
crossed.
yeah, fingers crossed. I'm thinking like maybe a defined doorway it'll shoot through, like maybe simple stuff, not like or I should say maybe stuff that your X-ray optics will be able to see through. So if you can see it through the wall, you can shoot it through the wall.
That's
But that
probably
might
close
not
to where they're
match.
going. I imagine that puncturability, for lack of a better term, because my brain doesn't want to words right now, um, is that it'll go through probably one layer of cover. Like they're hiding behind a concrete barrier, you can shoot through that
Yeah,
concrete barrier. They're on the other
but
side
just
of the
that one.
wall, you can shoot through that wall. But you won't be able to rail through like six walls or anything like that to shoot
No.
somebody in like a completely different apartment complex or anything like that.
Yeah, not across the street through 2 buildings and then you got that guy in the lounge chair. Like
Yeah,
that's not how that's gonna work.
yeah.
That'd be cool, but that's not how that's gonna work. Let's see what was else.
Got all the smart weapons. You can
Um,
talk about some smart weapons.
they had well, still kind of sticking to that same, almost the same thing. That he showed off a sniper rifle, of being
Oh
able to
yeah.
mod it and put a different scope on it. But when he entered the menu for the weapon, it like tore apart into like
Yeah.
6 or 8 segments. So there is not just like a one-off, oh, there's a couple of like you can customize the bejesus out of this stuff, it looks like.
Yeah.
And also if you can customize it to that degree, it's going to lend itself to a lot of options, and I think those options are kind of like spillovers of what maybe starting out each of one of your 3 types can do, or has the kinds of things you have access to. So it'll be a little more specialized, and you'll see the specialty in a lot of the different mods that you can only get on a certain faction. Then the other thing they brought up was, amongst the story, you might see somebody that's holding a legendary weapon, and you have to decide, leave them alive for the future of your story and narrative you want to form, or kill them and take their weapon, because they have the big shiny thing that you want.
And that was actually kind of interesting to me. I really like the idea of, so there's like a looter or a looter shooter element in this, in just that they have like the common rarity of items that you expect to find around the worlds. They said that you can build, buy, or find, or is it just buy and find weapons?
I don't know that you can build them yourself, but you
Okay,
do
maybe
have
I'm
a
much a
workbench in your apartment.
But
maybe that's why I was
legendaries are only finds. You can't
Yeah.
make those.
Yeah. And so I just thought it was a clever way to bring a legendary gun in there, that it's legendary not because you find it and it has a rare thing. It's actually attached to a person, and so it's legendary because it's theirs. And it probably
the
has like
notoriety of having stolen somebody's gun that everyone knows they use or something like that.
So, and that's the part that makes it legendary. I think that is so cool, and it's something that you only get a small piece of that with Borderlands, but I think it would be cooler if you actually got that from Borderlands. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's a really cool storytelling device.
Mm-hmm. So they're hitting me where I live with the little things. I like it. I like it a lot.
I'm very happy to hear that you're more and more interested in playing this game.
Scorch, I have always been interested in playing this game. Why do you think that I'm not?
Listen, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just happy that you're expressing more interest in it.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't hate the game. That, like I said, the quirks are, I don't even want to say negative, but the things that I say that may seem negative about the game have more to do with me and how I interact with games, like the third person versus first person, than it does about the game itself. They're like nitpicky, like, oh, I wish, because then it would be like a 100% perfect gaming experience for me, not versus the game. Hopefully that clears some of that up.
Yeah, a little bit. I would like to ask you though, while we're on stream, you said you're more interested now after the second episode of Night City Wire than you were before. Can you tell us why that is? Do you have a reason? Is there a specific thing that you can point to and say, yes, that is what I wanted to hear?
I think seeing the life paths and understanding better the role that story will play in the game, or not even story, the role of having a fuller narrative experience will play in the game has excited me more, because I am a story-driven player. For gameplay, I'm pretty simple. You give me mobility and a tight control system for someone who can't shoot worth a damn, then I'm fine. I'm fine, I'm there.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving me a story to move through, it falls flat for me, because that's I want to be told a really cool story that I didn't come up with myself. And I love video games because it is that medium that brings together a lot of the art styles that I love, which is it brings together cinema, it brings together storytelling, it brings together music, it brings together animation, and there's an interactivity to it. And Cyberpunk looks more and more like it's going to do that and not sacrifice like the narrative driven portion even of the story, even though, the character, even though you're developing the character in a way that's different from like Witcher, where like it is a you are taking Geralt through the story, and like that's there. I was a little hesitant because you're taking a character, like a character created person through a story, so it's not as there's a potential for it to not be as solid or weighty because they're trying to keep it open enough for the person playing the game, to feel like you are in the story. And I hate that. Just tell me a good story, you know?
Yeah.
But that's me.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
I hope that made sense.
Yeah. From what I hear from people that have been playing it, they are saying that do not think that this game is a first-person shooter. It is an RPG that has guns in it. It is not COD with little tick boxes with numbers.
Okay. And then that makes me excited.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else about Cyberpunk 2077?
Probably pretty summative of all the different summative. I don't think that's the word. Some very summary of everything that was showcased.
Summacious.
Some tick.
We didn't talk. We we didn't talk about any cyberware.
Oh yeah, hit the cyberware real quick, guys.
Think of it this way. Don't like fleshy arm? Want fleshy arm with rocket launcher in it? Chop off arm. Put on rocket launcher arm. There you go.
Success.
Yep.
Success.
Want metal arm with sword? Get metal arm with sword. That's
then
kind
perform
of
swish swish stab.
Yeah, that's kind of how they presented it. I'm sure it's different in game, but as far as the weapon profiles went, that's about as deep as they went into that.
And it looks cool. It's giving you like everything. Well, it's giving me everything that I want in a cyberpunk world. It's giving me awesome weapons that don't work exactly like we see today, but are near enough in the future. You can kind of say, okay. Then it's giving me body modification stuff, which is like staple for cyberpunk, and the way that they're incorporating it looks pretty cool. And you can do a lot with it. So yeah.
Dim body mods.
Dim body mods.
I'm pretty sure this isn't going to be in the game, but I would love for it to be a part of the game where you could give yourself another set of arms. Because I would love to be Mecha Goro running through the world with 4 gorilla arms beating the crap out of everybody.
I want to wait with bated breath and see if I'm going to be able to equip myself with true pistol fingers.
Weird
Gun. Pistol fingers.
Real finger guns. That'd be
real
cool.
finger guns.
Bang bang.
Like that has to be some hilarious side quest or something.
Something.
It's got to be.
What about you, Vass? Got an idea like that, or are you just in it for the ride?
I'm just in it for the ride, honestly. The reason why I keep on pausing and blanking out and starting laughing is because now, not when we were talking about it like 3 or 4 months ago, but now it's hitting me how funny it is that there's a dick slider. And so now I'm like, well, that's the body modification I'm going to be playing around with in the game.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Jesus.
That's hilarious.
I was mature then. Now, no, not at all.
There's a dick slider.
Oh man.
Which
Okay,
can only mean
so
there's a boob slider.
There is.
Well, I mean,
I'm fairly certain there is.
There's always been boob sliders, though.
Yeah.
Just saying. Equivalency.
Like equal
It's
opportunity here.
equality.
Equal
It's
opportunity.
equality. That's what it is.
Equality.
Finally found in 2077. Equality. All right. Next on the list is another actually pretty big topic. We hit it a little bit off of the podcast, but I still think it's a really good topic, and that is Epic Games luring its billion-dollar Fortnite Fat Sacs to the table and telling Apple and now Google to get
hey,
on
you're
board.
too expensive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah.
you guys are gouging people. Hey, y'all should stop doing this. Hey, you should. Well, again, I think I brought this up before. I think it's kind of petty the way they went about it because they planned all of this to basically
hold on.
throw a tantrum like children. But yeah, for them to be like, okay, here's the game in the start. Oh, it's more than we want to do, and you don't want to,
Well,
do the percentages and the cuts like we do. So now we're gonna make a huge stink about it.
let's
All right,
let's
tell
back
everyone
up
what's
and
going on.
actually explain what's going on. Or maybe Vas could do that.
Yes, I can because I have an article up
Hey!
from The Verge. This is from The Verge on the 13th of August. Game developer and publisher Epic Games has filed a lawsuit against Apple following the removal of the iOS version of the Battle Royale game Fortnite from the App Store earlier today. The legal complaint filed at the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California seeks to establish Apple's App Store as a monopoly, and the civil suit is seeking injunctive relief to allow fair competition in mobile app distribution. Epic effectively provoked Apple's removal of Fortnite earlier today when it implemented its own payment processing system. So the payment processing system kind of works like this. If you wanted to purchase the V-Bucks on or anything else in the game, you had to do it at either the App Store or the Google Play Store. You could not purchase currency from Epic directly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So they started this new store where you can buy the currency from Epic directly at, they're calling it a discounted price, but it's a price less the markup that's given to Apple, or excuse me, the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store.
Which
So
is
it's
30%.
$9.99, yeah, or $7.99, the 30%. They brought up the fact that the Apple Store approves and allows other companies to accept direct payments, including apps like Amazon, Grubhub, Nike, Best Buy, DoorDash, Fandango, McDonald's, Uber, Lyft, and StubHub. You're able to purchase your stuff directly through them, through the App Store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Um,
Basically saying, why do we not get the same thing if they get it?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. That's where it started.
Where it stops, nobody knows.
Yeah.
They said they sent out some really crazy, some really interesting tweets. One of them, Tim Sweeney, who I believe is Epic's CEO, says Apple has gone crazy. If colleges hold virtual classes through an iPhone app, Apple could demand 30% of the tuition.
Oh my
Truly,
god.
Apple
not
has no
wrong.
right to take. Truly, Apple has no right to take any percent of a company's revenue just because they made the phone people use to access the stuff. So it's the same type of issue that provoked net neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're, in my mind, and this is the way that they're framing it, and clearly I'm taking the hook knowingly, but they're framing it that there's a better way to do this. We're not saying we don't need to pay. We're saying that the rates that they're asking for are exorbitant,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the money to fight this. So we will.
Well, they got the money all right now.
Hmm
They
I don't.
got the money.
I don't think Epic is as rich as Apple or Google, but they're not poor.
No.
So they're in this. If they're in the same category of billions.
I think
There's
that
yeah, the buku bucks category.
I think that like it's going to be an internal stalemate if they're going to do this whole war of attrition thing. Um, and if you want to go long, long, super long, hundreds of years long play, you're not gonna outlast Apple or Google. You're just not. So I I don't really know what their plan is other than looking for a decisive yes or no thing in the courts, and I don't know if that's going to happen when there are other things going on right now. I think it is kind of poorly timed, in my opinion. But I'm not the guy that pulls the strings. It could
Hmm
they could be staring at some other metric thinking we are now geared to be able to do this. We're going to do this now. But,
Right now.
you
Well,
know,
and so I do get where you're going, where it's poor timing because like there is so many other things going on in the news right now. But I think part of the strategy is working in the court of public opinion. Um, and their opening salvo was pretty strong. Release this thing that goes against the terms and conditions or whatever agreement that they have with um, Apple, right?
hmm
Apple kicks Fortnite like the best. I don't even. It's not even the most one of the most money generating games, and one of the most viewed um, streaming games and name recognition games of the past like 5 years. Um, then release the parody video of Fortnite parodying the Apple 1984 commercial, which was Apple railing against Microsoft in a similar, if not the same type of um, monopolistic view of the market that Microsoft had when Apple was starting out, which eventually changed like the paradigm. If where Microsoft and Apple are equal, but when it comes to name recognition and general feel good, people like Apple in a way that they've never liked Microsoft, right?
yeah, that's true. They are much more
Um,
culty.
they're much more
Quite.
culty. And then they released it on Google as well. And here's where I'm not sure my my grand storytelling idea comes from. If it were like a novel, Apple would have called Google and be like, "You got to back me up on this guy. Back me up, B. Back me up, Big G." And so Big G was like, "Okay, I got you." And so they they also summarily kicked Fortnite off of the Google Play Store to show that they're stronger together.
Which
hmm
could
Because
backfire.
which could backfire. But so here's the
Definitely.
thing: I think if it were just Apple and Epic, I think the result would be a little bit different if it's Apple and Google.
Yeah,
That's just
Apple
me.
and Google together.
Hmm
That's a painful pair to try and fight at the same time.
Yeah. But
Definitely.
they are trying to be the David in this Goliath situation, and I think I'm picking up like the broad narrative that they're trying to show right now. I think that I've outlined in a way that should receive money. Epic, if you want me for my storytelling ideas, please call me. I see you. I see you, and I don't trust you, but I like what you're doing. Um, but on the other end of this, um, in a way, it also ties into the other things that Epic has done to show that despite all the mad fat stacks of cash that they are making right now, they are trying to create a better environment for game developing.
That's true.
And so like this kind of falls in line with that. It,
Yeah.
it like it really does.
As much as I hate to
I
admit it, I would agree.
I hate to admit it. I I agree with Epic on a philosophical level.
Hmm.
I think that what they're doing is ultimately good for the consumer and probably ultimately good for the developer. I think the way they went about doing it physically, in reality, having this pre-prepared 1984 ad
Hmm.
is pissy.
It's the
That's probably what
drama.
makes me so mad about it is that.
It's the drama of the moment.
But I hate drama.
I
I know.
I agree with their statement. I agree with what they want to do. I just hate that they're being little pissants about it.
But it's shock and awe. You have to win the hearts and minds of the consumers
Well,
so they follow you.
let me tell you this, Vass. I'm a consumer and it put me off.
Yeah, but I feel like you're an outlier. You want to eat people.
I
I
do
was
want to
put
eat
off.
people. How do they taste?
Don't discount me, Vast. I was put off.
Well, Arcadius, that is, I accept your off-puttedness.
Because
Okay.
he's
I'm
so
ignoring
much more
forces.
normal than I am.
Durr.
Oh. But what were you as put off by it, Vast, as we were?
Apparently
Oh
not.
God, no! I thought it was brilliant.
Really?
Like it was brilliant. Like, but
Maybe
in
it's
the
my
in the
cynicism towards
worst.
corporate scum that has me like jaded slightly.
Well, and you should be because like, but so here's the thing: Apple has its cult of Apple fanatics, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It is hard to break through, and I'm not even going to go there, but it is hard to break through the echo chamber of love for a thing that you subsume your identity into,
Hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had to go big. They had to take a giant sledgehammer. Um, Look at me laying things down to this idea that the identity that you see Apple, the brand that you see Apple is, and as assuming in your life is not the case.
They
And
have
they
become
did
the
that.
thing that they hoped to destroy.
Troy. Yes, and so they did that. And yes, it's hokey. Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, it's pissy. But they really
But
are
it's
making
all
the
of those
case.
things, Beth.
But
You just
but
listed so many things.
but it's really not when you're trying
Ugh.
to prove a point. Like in today's crazy quarantine filled reality TV president having, like,
Ugh.
just craziness that
Uh-huh.
is modern life. Like, and it really was as much of a bomb going off now as that video was in literally 1984, right?
I
Like,
mean,
Which
it
is their point.
works. It's their
it
point,
is
and
their
it
point.
works on so many levels. The only thing that was sucks about it is that it's Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Like
thing I hate
it's
about
like,
it.
wait, I thought we gave up on this Fortnite thing. I thought we were good to go.
But no,
Yeah.
now Fortnite is here to save us all, and I'm
Oh,
like, no.
Ugh.
It is. I think I wish it. I can't even say I wish it was received better because I think that overall it was received fairly well. Um, but it like it was literally like a shot, like the perfect right hook or jab or whatever to to Apple's eye.
It was the
Like
perfect boxing metaphor.
it was the perfect boxing metaphor. And they have a black eye right now because Fortnite can literally say, look, this is what you said 20 years ago or 30 years ago, and this is where you are now. Huh?
yeah.
Huh? And at the same time, me, forward-thinking historian, thinks, okay, 30 years from now, let's see who uses this on Epic if they're still here.
Oh, they're going to.
See, the way that I see it right now is that Epic is like the 6-year-old that has a logical point and is coming from like an actual place of logic, and Apple is the mother going, I smell disrespect. And and
Time
it's
to get
not
out the spatula.
and it's not gonna go anywhere. Like Epic is going to get metaphorically spanked by the spatula. They're gonna have to break off their own Switch in the backyard.
It's gonna be 2 spatulas because Google's got one too.
That's true.
Google, yeah, mom and dad are both pissed off.
Like,
and it
Well,
is
I
not
think-
going to go well.
once you're the establishment, you have to act like the establishment.
Establishment, yep. And Google has gone a long way. Like they've removed their do no harm or do no evil or whatever platform from their like list of corporate values or whatever it was on. Like that's been removed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like Google knows that it is strayed, or Alphabet, whatever we're calling it. It knows that it's strayed far. It has strayed fairly far. I think they still do a lot of good, but it's strayed fairly far from its original like conception of self as a corporate identity.
Yeah.
Right? Apple has clearly moved far away in this too. And I think where Epic has a leg to stand on here is that there are all these other companies that you can purchase direct, make your purchase directly through that brand's store.
Yeah.
So why is it different for games?
I totally understand. I'm absolutely behind Epic in this, but that's not what's gonna happen.
We'll see. Because there are plenty of people who are tired of Apple, so we'll see.
Yeah. But the people that are
And of
tired of
course-
Apple are not the ones that are buying iPhones.
Yeah.
These are,
Oh.
glue sniffing, Tonka trunk driving idiots. But that's a different
yeah, I drive a
story. I
Tonka
think.
truck.
Yeah, but you have an Android, right?
This
You got
is
an
true.
LG, so calm down.
I know.
Also, I don't think you sniff glue.
That is also a helpful anecdote to know.
Well, it sounds like we're digressing here, so I'll move on to a couple of other things. This is a short one, but it is in the realm of like big bad companies doing stuff. EA has introduced EA Play. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, I have.
Do you want to take it away, or do you want me to go?
Well, as far as I can see, and from what little I've read so far, because today has been based on sleep rather than anything else,
Mm.
what they've done is just renamed EA Access. And
So-
they just rebranded the platform.
Yes, they're combining EA Access and EA Origin, and then just naming it something new, similar to what HBO did earlier this year, where they took HBO Go and HBO
What now?
Now, and then made HBO Max.
Mhm.
Is that what they did?
Yeah, they eliminated HBO Go and HBO Now, and they
Oh.
replaced them with HBO Max.
Interesting.
Do you think this is a good move?
Well,
Consolidation is usually done in the name of simplicity and money, so probably.
Yeah.
If we know anything about EA, they're driven by that bottom line
Oh, yes.
hard. So I would say yes,
Oh,
it is due
yes.
to money.
so from EA's website, I was just really curious about this, so I pulled it up, and they say the EA Access and Origin Access subscription game services will be getting a fresh new name and a new look starting August 18th. That's next week. They will become EA Play, and Origin Access will change to EA Play Pro. You'll get the same benefits. You won't lose your library titles, early game trials, and you'll still have your 10% member discount. So
Okay.
just a new look, new name, and I guess it's just kind of streamline it because it makes sense going from Access to Origin Access. Play Pro sounds better. Like Amazon rebranded Twitch Prime to Prime Gaming this week too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a streamlining to keep all your brand stuff like
Keep it fresh.
Yeah.
keep it fresh and make it make sense. So it's a little thing. Just thought
Yeah.
I'd bring it up.
I have a little bit. It's just a tidbit of EA information to dole out. Oh God. And it's good for the first time in a while when we talk about EA, because longtime listener of our podcast know that we don't have a favorable opinion of EA.
Mm.
And this has more to do with the shareholders than anything else. The shareholders have overwhelmingly voted not to give the executives at EA a pay bonus this round.
Huh.
Really?
Yep.
It's almost like there was going to be another round of hysteria, like there is every time they receive bonuses when they do poorly.
Yeah. So they've voted to not do that this time.
Good.
Good on them.
Yeah. And I don't own any EA stock. Or I definitely would have voted not to give them bonuses.
Every year for the rest of their lives.
Yep. But that's all I have to say about my EA information.
That's
Okay.
actually good news.
Yeah.
So we'll round it up with some PS4 news. This is a small thing, but just in keeping with a lot of what we've heard about next gen and the bridge from current generation to the next generation of PS4 and, or excuse me, PS5 and Xbox Series X, One X, Triple X. The game Kena Bridge of Spirits will offer a free PS5 upgrade for your PS4 purchase.
It's pretty nice.
Dang.
My only worry or concern about it is that Ember Lab, the studio that made it on their who is producing the game or developing the game, said that yes, you will be able to have the free upgrade. We don't have a time limit detail yet, but the upgrade is slated to be free. So it might be a timed thing. But
Okay.
that could be 3 months, it could be
Oh.
6 months, whatever.
It's
That's how you get people to do it, is to make it timed.
It's it's an indie studio, right?
hmm
So I'm imagining that their whole timing thing is based around workforce rather than anything else. Unless we're thinking about the timing in two different aspects, and I'm looking at it from a different direction than you guys.
Oh, well, I was looking at it as a timing, as in, you will only be able to upgrade within a window.
Oh, okay.
I could be looking at it wrong.
I was looking at it as in we don't have a timeline for when this feature is going to be available.
Gotcha.
Semantics. The English language is messy.
hmm
Quite.
I would also put out there, if you're not following them on Twitter, or if you're not a Twitter fan, like for following things, I would at least encourage you to go and look at their Twitter account, because they have some really cool artwork on there, like concept art, and some pretty nifty fan art. So it's a nice follow.
Cool.
And then last on my PlayStation list, it's a shorter conversation because you guys have not played it yet. But Marvel's Avengers and their exclusivity deals.
Yeah.
With Spider-Man?
Spider-Man and some weird cross-product deals too.
Yeah.
Oh, really? What's the cross-product deals?
Let's start at the top.
Hit me.
We're gonna talk about Spider-Man first?
I didn't see that part. I just knew the Spider-Man part with Sony stuff.
Yeah, let's start at the top because that's the bigger story, and it's the one that has
The biggest pie wedge.
yeah, and I think it's upset people. I'm not as sympathetic, but I own a PlayStation, so
Yeah.
Don't have to be sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, the guys behind the new Marvel Avengers game, I don't remember the studio,
Crystal
unfortunately.
Dynamics,
Crystal Dynamics have said that,
published by Square Enix.
yes, have said that Spider-Man is coming to the game, but as a PlayStation exclusive. And you could think of that like, okay, well, that's natural considering Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man, and uh, since it's a Sony property, they can put it in Sony platforms. And that's true, but to my knowledge, this game, which has a multiplayer aspect, is also going to have crossplay, which means you can team up with Xbox players and see Spider-Man running around, and you can't be Spider-Man
Yes.
if
So
you are playing on Xbox.
the Sony in me is saying sucks to be you. But
Yes.
the sympathetic gamer in me says you should have purchased a Sony PlayStation. But then the next part of me says,
The equalist.
the equalist says, I would hate to be in your position. And then we take one step back.
Yeah.
We take one more step and we say, I guess I could maybe understand why you would be disappointed.
Yeah.
So hurry up and get a PlayStation.
Do you remember that conversation that we had literally 10 minutes ago about Apple fanboys?
Yes.
I don't.
It applies to other brands as well, you guys.
Yeah, but not when it's your brand.
Absolutely when it's your brand.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Fast. Yes, it
I don't
does.
think so.
Nuh-uh.
I don't think so.
No, no, no. Anyway,
But I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
uh, I think that's a shitty thing to do. Um,
Yeah, I figured if you're gonna already get it in a game, just get the licensing to work across all of your release platforms. But
yeah. I'm also a bit worried that in this age and time of things that can be timed exclusives, that Spider-Man is not going to be a timed exclusive because it's held by Sony.
I don't think it's going to be assigned timed exclusive either. So here's the thing, like, and there are a couple of layers to this, right? But do you remember when Marvel tried to screw Sony
With the whole
for
Spider-Man
well.
deal?
this whole Spider-Man deal?
Kind of, yeah.
I don't think that this is as much of a Xbox like issue. They're just like children who are getting a new mom and they didn't expect it.
Getting a new mom. What
Jeez.
what is this
deep.
simile here?
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know. Look, it's late. It's coming off the top. This is not my finest moment. But I expended it all when I was explaining the Fortnite situation. That's where all my brain power went.
Gotcha.
But I think it really is like it has more to do with Sony and Marvel than it has to do with Sony and Xbox in this situation. That is, of course, an
Oh yeah,
an
Xbox is
uninformed
just
opinion.
patsy to all this. They
Yeah.
don't really have a say in it or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
really.
So this is like uninformed, but I really do think this is spinning out of that, and that's
No chicken.
where the exclusivity is coming from. It's less about Xbox and more about Sony using their weight to promote their the characters whose rights they own in this Marvel studio game.
Yeah.
And I understand that it's not being produced by Marvel Studios, but I mean, like, it is top down, like, part of the Marvel Avengers universe thing.
Yeah. Should we now talk about all the other weird tie-ins that are going on right now
Yeah,
with
because
all
I
of
think
this?
that's all ties in together.
Haha. Who wants to take it?
I will fill this one. So, in
Do it.
addition to Sony having the Spider-Man tie-in, which, by the way, he will not be released until 2021. So when the game first launches, it'll
No one gets
just be
Spider-Man.
no one gets
It'll be
Spider-Man.
fair starting out, then it'll become
It'll
unfair.
it'll be an original, like the original Avengers cast plus Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, and then the Hawkeye will be launched for both platforms, and somewhere in there, Spider-Man will be launched. And they plan on releasing additional characters for the game for both sets or both consoles, and they plan for it to be a longer running games of a service type game. Okay, all that out the way. All that out the way. There are other bonuses that you will receive from different exclusive tie-in content from Verizon, Virgin Mobile, and Intel.
Intel? Really?
Specifically, there are skins that you will be able to equip your characters with. That
The skin battle, eh?
Yep.
They said that there's even, this is from PC Gamer, there's even a slightly bizarre collaboration with 5Gum that will unlock smaller rewards such as a currency, artifacts, and emotes, including an emote of Miss Marvel that's Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, not Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, blowing bubblegum.
Huh.
And when Vass and I first were talking about that, I told her that I thought that was incredibly far-fetched. And I was speaking from the position of why the hell are they tying this in with a video game? These companies have no stake in video games. But
Yeah.
then Vast rebutted
That it's not about the video game, it's about the Marvel Avengers property. And Marvel as a movie production company, is like still at the pinnacle right now.
Well,
Billion
it's
dollar
definitely
films,
raking in the buku bucks.
billion-dollar films, and these products probably already have some kind of agreement or tie-in with them for film. And there's no telling what kind of contracts that they have or agreements that they have in place that transfer those type of like cross-promotional branding into a video game. Or Crystal Dynamics or Square Enix could have approached these companies as well, saying, hey, you're already tied into the Avengers, why don't you tie into the Avengers with a skin in the game? Yeah. So, but it has less to do with, again, like with my take on the Sony Spider-Man thing, it has less to do with it being a game as much as it has to do with it being Marvel's Avengers. And there's so much money that's generated off of the Avengers that it's going to carry into a video game in a way that video games don't normally see.
And gives positive PR light revenue and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I think before this, like the biggest and best, and I'm going to keep with the best after my beta experience, even though I think I might like Marvel's Avengers. The biggest and best video game comic book tie-in has always been Batman, specifically the Rocksteady Arkham series.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it drew in that much product placement in game. You can correct me on that because I think I only played Arkham Knight and I don't even think I finished that one.
Well, I didn't play a single one of them, so.
Yeah, neither did I. I think I played a demo and that was about it.
They're pretty good games. Like, I mean, clearly we're coming to a new generation, so you don't need to play them, but they ran so games like Spider-Man could fly.
Could swing.
Good swing.
Uh,
Thank you. But I got off point. Where was I with this?
I have no idea. I was just listening to you talk.
yeah,
Oh,
the
I
purpose of
lost.
why this game type
Oh,
happens.
yeah. And so like Batman, arguably one of the most recognizable superheroes of all time,
Uh-huh.
has the most, until recently, the most successful franchises of all time. Um, just due to where we are in, you know, timeline and how much movies are making right now, is being beaten by the Avengers, which have always been like the B team of Marvel Comics to the X-Men. No, I mean, like, seriously.
I
Yeah,
Like,
for
they've
think
been,
actual comics, yeah.
yeah,
I
for
th-
actual comics.
I think there might be some sweaty ponytailed nerds that would fight you in a parking lot for saying that.
Actually.
Yeah,
No, they actually,
actually.
they would. Look, I'm going to push my glasses up and say, actually, no, they wouldn't, because as popular as the Avengers are and has many team ups that they have done um, in the past, overall, the most successful Marvel figures until recently, until these past, like, what, 8-10 years that the Marvel series has been going on, has been Spider-Man and X-Men. Like,
Yeah.
categorically, they're the more likable, relatable heroes, and they've always been popular. Avengers, not so much, until they cast Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Yep, what
They
started it all.
they really hit it big with that one.
Oh,
hmm
yes.
Like, it was synergy. It was honestly such a good synergy. And Monsoons and I will probably talk about that on the Crash Girls one day.
Yeah.
Crash Girls!
I will promote it, but probably not listen.
What? You need to listen to us babble
I
on
I li-
about comics.
I listened once or twice before, but that's squarely
It's,
not in my wheelhouse.
I
Comics.
know it's not in your milieu.
Yes, that is correct. Well, the only thing that I would like to talk about, if you want to, that is, this is, completely like we've filled our quota. This is just icing on the top right now, is that you got to play the game in a
Mm,
beta.
hmm.
Would you like to talk at all about your experiences playing the game?
Or can you?
I can. There wasn't in there anything in there, Eula, that prevented me from talking about it. And I did capture some some gameplay that I'll put on our channel this weekend. Thank you for reminding me, Scorch. Um, Overall, I started in a place that, like, highs and lows. It was like a valley playing experience. Um, the game started with you playing, I guess, the prologue, and you got to experience all 5 of the Avengers gameplay mechanics in like a short burst. It is very scripted, very tight on rails, action oriented, like, gameplay. So you're at A Day, which is like this big event celebrating the Avengers, and something goes wrong, as it always does. And
Hmm.
so you start off as Thor. So you're throwing your hammer, you're zapping people with lightning bolts. You switch to Tony Stark and Iron Man, and you start to familiarize yourself with the flight mechanic. Um, you switch to Incredible Hulk, and you smash, and you
Oh,
jump and you
smash.
leap, and then you switch to Black Widow, who I was wondering how they would differentiate her the most, because she's the human of the group, I guess.
The normal
Hmm.
person with a lot of skills.
Yes, but I think they did a pretty good job with her. And so you have a mini boss battle with her. Then you switch to Captain America, who is your other brawler type character. And it felt different playing him than it did playing Black Widow. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is, I'm enjoying this so far. And then you end the prologue, and then you play like you played one or two missions from the early start of the game, and you got to play the last character on the roster,
Oh shit.
which is Kamala Khan, who's Miss Marvel, and I really like her character. She's super cute, super fun, super engaging character, and so I'm kind of glad that they brought her in to the game. All right. That being said, I wasn't impressed with the gameplay and the mechanics until I opened up some of the skill tree for the characters and got into a position where you can even more clearly see how they play differently from one another and how much the dev team like put into making the characters not only feel different but having like different play styles, like actual play styles within themselves. So I was telling Scorch, like, there's an upgrade tree for Iron Man where you can go with rockets for increased range distance, or excuse me, increased range damage, or you can give him lasers and have lasers shooting out when you do melee damage. So you're like spinning around like a laser top, slicing and dicing enemies. And it was so much fun. I thought I would be playing like Kamala the most. And they did some really good stuff with her. If you're not familiar, she's a shapeshifter, and she can, I think they call her power embiggen. So she can like make herself like double her height, and she can make her fists bigger, or she make her legs longer and like do whip kicks and stuff like that. Kind of like a Luffy.
Okay.
And so like, but she plays really, really well. There were even some moments in like the menu screen where they have idle animations for the character, and they gave her one of the most realistic idle animations I've ever seen. Like she just flexes her wrists. Yeah. She's just standing there kind of like, breathing a little bit. She flexes her wrists, like she rolls them and then flexes them out. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like a real motion that I would do myself. It was really cool. So they have these little things in here. So where's the mixed emotions? They also had some of the co-op gameplay there, and it becomes, to me, really apparent that this is a single-player campaign with a co-op element that is to the side.
Tacked on.
It's tacked on.
Frankenstein in there.
Yes. And so I'm really worried about that because I don't have that many strong feelings about, Marvel Avengers. They're not my favorites. Stupid cows.
I would almost think it's centered around. I would imagine they would have built the game the opposite way. I mean, you've got a bunch of Avengers. Why wouldn't you have that be a massive collaborative multiplayer effort?
So that's the thing. And so the way that it plays to me is how I feel like they've been talking about how co-op is going to be in Overwatch 2, where they have with the caveat being that the campaign Overwatch 2 is going to be multiplayer. But what they have are like a series of like wave missions in what they call the harm room, which is essentially the danger room. Then they have like smaller sections of maps that you've already been to for objective-based missions. And then they have like a more of an open city or area map where you go and like you'll fight a mini boss and then a big boss. And right now, that's all it looks like that you have for co-op. And I know what you're thinking, like that's essentially what multiplayer is, but it's just so apart from the game that I can't imagine it being fun after playing it once with friends. You know what I mean?
I see. Hmm.
And they want it to be like a thing that you come back to when they introduce new characters. And when they introduce new characters, they're supposed to have like story missions of their own, which I imagine will probably be like 3 or 4 story missions, maybe 5 on their own.
That's
Hmm.
not very
But
many.
no, that's just me imagining. Like I
Yeah.
don't. Basically, I don't think they're going to give you like a 10 episode story campaign. They could, but I don't see them doing that.
Yeah.
Do you?
Not unless that campaign was the same for every single character.
Mm,
It would just be Thor doing it instead of Black Widow doing it.
And you get
hmm
your individual voice dialogues for the given scenario clip or something like that.
Yeah. Or they could
So
be the
right now,
exact same, said by,
Or, yeah,
different characters.
if they wanted to be real cookie cutter, they could.
Yeah. But I've seen it
so
happen before. Looking at
so
you,
that's
Japan.
where, and that's where I'm just being like, critical but realistic, or trying. I just don't want you to think that I'm trying to be negative here, because
Yeah.
I did enjoy the experience and I played with some friends and I had fun in the co-op playing with friends. Um, and everyone plays differently. I really fell in love with the fight mechanics with Iron Man. I didn't think he was going to walk away being my favorite character to play, but he was. Followed very closely by Kamala, but I liked playing them all. Like I even liked smashing as the Hulk. So,
It's pretty cool. Pretty
but
cool.
yeah, so that's kind of where I am right now. Like cautiously optimistic for the game because I think it'll be fun to play, but I don't know if they're going to meet their objectives of it being um, a multiplayer co-op game that you come back to again and again.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really only saw gameplay of it, uh, and I wasn't really impressed by the gameplay.
Mm,
Like when Vass and I were first talking about it, I said that the gameplay looked like it would have been cool in 2005.
Oh, it's that kind.
Like it was
Okay.
like it was heavily scripted. Like you did this, you had to like hold triangle to lift buses off of people. There were quick time events. There was like witty quip, hit, witty quip, that kind of thing. And
but that's the prologue.
I know it was, and you're establishing character and all of that. But if that's what they're going to show to promote the game, there are
Mm,
going to be people like me that will not pick it up because they think, man, that's really old hat.
yeah,
And
yeah, I get you.
I'm honestly not expecting this game to sell a whole lot. I'm expecting this project to be shuttered early.
See, I think that if it were released last year, when did Endgame come out? Did Endgame come out last year?
No,
No, it's
before
the year
that.
before.
Yeah.
Time
You can
flies.
you can tell that I haven't seen it, but I feel like if it had came out last year or the year before, and it was more closely tied with the film, it would have sold. It will have sold um, what they are expecting or what they are wanting it to sell. That being said, I still think it's going to sell a lot because the Avengers brand is really, really solid right now. Does the Spider-Man thing weigh in? Yeah, for some people, but I think the majority of people a majority of like casual gamers who aren't even paying attention to gaming news, who haven't even heard about this, are still going to pick it up.
You think so?
Yeah, because it's an Avengers game. The I cannot stress to you how different it felt to play every character and how good some of those move sets were.
Hmm.
The only thing I think it's missing, and maybe it's there that we just don't, we're just in the beta, we don't see them yet. But the only thing I think it was missing was like combo moves.
Okay.
I think it'd be really cool if they had combo moves, but it is fun to play. What they give us to play with is the deciding factor
Hmm.
to me.
Okay. That makes sense. And seeing as how you're the person that's played it the most, I'm going to go with your opinion here.
we'll see.
Yeah,
And I will, ask if the beta comes out anytime soon and we're still jonesing for things to play. I'll just suggest that Durnami goes in and just tries the beta as a
I
three
think
stack.
what
Well, beta's free. There's nothing
what
wrong with
is
that.
what is the date today?
The
The
day is
14th.
the 14th.
Okay. I think they said that the beta, there's an open beta event going from the 21st to the 23rd of this month.
Oh, good. I wonder if my stuff carries over.
I don't know. I would doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to unlock everything else for Tony. Oh, I think I mentioned this before when I first started. Like the flight controls weren't as tight as I wanted them to be, but then I went in and made some adjustments, and it felt as good as the flight mechanic in Anthem.
Ooh,
Wow.
that's robust.
It felt really good to fly as Tony Stark in the game,
Hmm.
as Iron Man. So
That's really interesting.
take that what you will. If you like flight in games and you're jonesing for it, at least play the beta to for that because it felt really good.
Yeah, I'll definitely play the beta, capture some footage, throw it up on the channel for our one or two people to watch,
Mhm.
see what happens.
Mhm. Mhm.
It seems like we are winding down here. Do we have any closing thoughts or anything that we
Hmm.
want to throw out?
I
No,
think
I'm
that
just constantly
punctuates it
amazed
for
with
me.
yeah, I'm just constantly amazed by the year that is 2020 and all of the strange things. And hey, Danny,
Oh my God,
Danny
Danny's
just
here.
dropped into the chat.
Holy shit.
yes, the beta will be free for Avengers. It's a free open beta the 21st to the 23rd.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, if that is everything, then I guess we will go ahead and end. Unless,
Goodbye.
all right, well, that's it. If you liked it, subscribe to us. We do these periodically. If you didn't like it, you're free to move about the cabin, find where you do like content, because this is the internet after all. That's what the internet is for, especially YouTube. Uh, we are on all the social medias and junk. At Durnami Gaming, that's us. And we will see you when we have more topics to talk about. Bye.